So I have this absolutely viral clip from this young lady by the name of Catherine Burball Singh. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But she dives into a topic of discussion that I think needs a lot more attention and a lot more spotlight put on it because it is a very, very serious topic. So I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking. Let's just hop right on into it, shall we? The full clip is obviously worth a watch. We're not going to check out the full clip, but a large segment, okay? Check it out.
School and online. Ask any young person what history they learned at school, and they'll tell you Hitler. Ask them what else? Slavery. Ask them what else? American civil rights. In fact, what little they know of history will be all about black and brown people fighting for equality against the white man, women fighting men for the vote, gay and trans people fighting for various rights. Our young people have been taught that history is simply one long story about various groups struggling under the oppressive dead white man. Out with Dickens, Shakespeare, Kipling, and Wordsworth. We must decolonize. History is taught through an oppressor lens. The triangular slave trade, white men held the power. What about Britain ending the slave trade? More than a quick mention, if at all? No. What of the Arab slave trade that lasted 3 times as long as the triangular slave trade? No. Okay, so GCSE history in Britain is often taught as migration through time. So the idea that Britain has always been a land of immigrants is embedded in our children's heads. Most schools would prefer to concentrate learning about the tiny number of black people who existed in Tudor England over a thorough analysis of England's break from Rome. Medieval history becomes her story and is told through the eyes of Eleanor of Aquitaine, because after all, she was a woman. Not to mention weeks on King Mansa Musa of Mali, because he was a black Muslim. His bearing on British institutions, laws, and faith is non-existent. And the fact that he is said to have been the richest man in history, thanks in part to his massive slave-owning society, is a detail somehow that teachers rarely ever teach. But it isn't just our schools. It's our general culture, too. Take your kids to a museum or an art gallery in any Western country, and you'll find the same narrative. As an example, when learning about aviation in London's Science Museum and the extraordinary feat that is man making massive machines move in the sky, a write-up on the wall explains that women and black people were historically barred from aviation schools and the military. Similarly, James Watt, the man who invented the steam engine and is considered the founder of the Industrial Revolution, has a write-up on the wall explaining that his early career involved slave trafficking with a bonus analysis of the whole of Britain's complicity in the slave trade. They flatten the entire human story and all of its complexities into the narrative of oppressor and oppressed, leaving young people unable to see the world in any other terms. How can children feel that they belong to their country when they are immersed in an educational culture that teaches that their country is merely an evil oppressor? Children are the future, and yet we are teaching them to have contempt for their elders, whose oppressive world needs overthrowing by a new world of young, arrogant anti-racists who know better than we do. We older Westerners are cutting off the branches upon which we sit because of the guilt some of us feel for being white and privileged. We look at Mandami, the mayor of New York, and Zach Polanski, the very popular leader of the Green Party amongst the under-30s in the UK, and we wonder what on earth is going on. Why are our young people voting for and cheerleading these Marxist and really quite extreme politicians? Few of us understand how much the online world reinforces this culture of the oppressor versus the oppressed. Victimhood saturates every video, whether it's about a foreign war, transphobia, or racism, and white guilt lingers everywhere. It should not come as a surprise that our young people's moral core does not recognize complexity or nuance. They have been formed by school and the online world to make one judgment only: oppressor or oppressed, good or bad. And they are desperate not to be seen as racist. We see this most starkly with our young police officers. Well, I'm here to tell you, that's on us. We don't care about childhood. And then we wonder why our children have imbibed the wrong values. At my school, Michaela, developing traditional moral character and defending our inherited tradition is at the center of what we do. Now, being a teacher, I've got some homework for you. I want you to live your lives by the small c conservative values that were instinctive to our grandparents. Be brave and put away your lifestyles of anything goes. Saving the West ain't easy, you know. And then you need to narrate those traditional values openly with your children, your grandchildren, your nephews, your nieces, as if we're going to war. We need... We need to inoculate our children against the seductive ideas of victimhood and hold them to account so that they can see that they are morally responsible beings with agency, whatever their race, whatever their religion. So yes, Henry Novak's police officers were trained with the wrong priorities, but that training was only fuel on a fire that has been burning their whole entire lives. A young man lay dying on the ground, and their most powerful instinct was not to help him, but to manage their own terror of being seen as racist. This is not a policing failure. This is a civilizational failure, and it belongs to us because of what we have done and are doing to our children.
You know, she's 100% correct. 100% correct. And that is a major, major problem. All of our youth is being brought up with this mindset of, oh, America bad because of X, Y, and Z reason. And for example, like with slavery, it's being taught as if America is the only place where slavery ever happened. And we all know that's not the truth, right? But that's the way it's being taught. And I don't even know if you can call it the education system anymore, because I don't think there's really a whole lot of educating that's being done. And I'm going to make a video on that as well today, but it's more so indoctrination, being told what to think and not how to think, basically, right? And that is a major, major problem because, well, one, you should be appreciative of where it is that you live, especially if you live in a place like America, which is obviously a great place. And thankfully, we have the World Cup here, so that mold is, or that smoke screen is being lifted for a lot of folks from Europe who have been fed propaganda from their mainstream media that America is such a terrible place. But then also, hopefully, you know, some of the youth here, some of the leftists here in America are seeing some of these clips and really opening their eyes to the fact that they've been lied to as well, and that America really isn't as bad as what, the leftists would like us to believe. Right? Hopefully, watching these folks come here and say it's absolutely amazing, which it is, opens their eyes a bit. Because once again, I feel like our education system, if you want to call it that, isn't really educating anymore. It's basically indoctrination, telling kids what to think, not showing them how to think. And it's just absolutely ridiculous that we have a system that moves the way that it moves, like what she described there, teaching about slavery as if America is the only place that it ever happened. But in reality, most people on this planet are descendants of slaves at some point in time. That's just the way things go. That wasn't exclusive to America, right? This whole victim mentality is absolutely ridiculous. It is absolutely rampant. And I mean, you look at these folks, especially coming out of college, and you wonder why they're all far leftists, because they've been indoctrinated in the public school system, and then they go off to college and they're indoctrinated there as well. And so I think we got to get back to pure education and not indoctrination. But how do we do that? How do we rid a schooling system that has been overrun? I mean, quite frankly, completely overrun with far leftists. How do we do it? So that is something that I think we need to pay closer attention to, and put a little more urgency on. I know we got a lot of things going on, but that is something that I think is really, really important because, as she said, the youth is our future. They're our future. And if they're being indoctrinated with this nonsense, well, guess what? They're going to grow up to be adults that think this exact same way, and that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a major, major problem. So yeah, y'all get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. If you agree, if you disagree, why or why not. How do you think we could solve this issue? Do you think it's not an issue at all? Let me know. Stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.